On the 19th of April, RIC Ayrshire held its The People of Ayrshire Demand event in Ardrossan Civic Centre. RIC, the Radical Independence Campaign, is a grassroots community of activists dedicated to the fight for a fairer, inclusive and more socially just Scotland. Subjects discussed included living rent, equality, the living wage and an end to benefit sanctions. We've published the guests' speeches in full, but here are some brief extracts as a taster.
For those that are sceptical about politics and politicians, and I can see a few of you in here, don't worry. I'm not a politician. I'm not making any kind of plea for your votes. And the Radical Independence Campaign is not a political party. But it is political. It's a broad coalition. It draws people in from the Scottish Socialists, the Greens, even the SNP. It involves community activists and trade unionists, and it formed in 2012 in order to promote a left-wing vision of what independence could mean for the ordinary people of Scotland.
Hi there, my name's Lindsay. First of all, I would like to say that I'm certainly not a politician and I'm not heavily involved in politics. But I am here today to get more people to engage in politics. I myself never voted during the referendum. In fact, I've never voted during any election. My views in politics up until the referendum was that it was boring, it didn't concern me, and it didn't affect my life. I now know that I couldn't have been any more wrong. During the referendum, I started to learn a lot more about different political issues, and to be honest, I was horrified. See, when I found out that the nuclear weapons were lying in the Clyde that I played in as a child, that shocked me. And when I learned what fracking was, I couldn't have been any more disgusted. I tried to register, but I was too late. I was raging. I was pissed off, to say the least. So, needless to say, I'll definitely be voting in the election.
If the working class in Scotland are prepared to say there are politicians and then there are us, they stand for Parliament, we don't, then we'll get Parliaments full of the suits for years to come of people with no experience of life, when in fact what we require are the Lindsays of this world into the Parliament.
One of the most important political events that I've been involved in over the referendum campaign was probably our last Radical Independence conference that took place after the referendum, and it was our biggest conference yet, with over 3,000 people gathered from all over Scotland to discuss the ways forward for our campaign post-September the 18th. And on that day, we pledged a campaign on 5 points about austerity, about campaigning against privatisation, against fracking, TTIP, Trident, and for better working conditions. And we called that the People's Vow, because we still don't accept that the politicians who signed up to their own vow on the front page of the Daily Record had the best interests of ordinary people in Scotland at heart. We still believe that change needs to be fought for from below, in our communities, in our workplaces and in our organisations. During the referendum campaign, a yes vote was a way for us to take power back for ourselves, away from those who thought they had the right to govern Scotland for good. It was a way for us to revolt against alienation from Westminster, and now we're here. We've generated a great momentum with our collective power. The question is, what are we going to do with it? And I think that we can use all of that energy to begin to democratise Scotland from the bottom up, and that we can begin again to challenge a political system that shut us out for decades. And I hope you will all consider getting active in the branch of radical independence, and that we can have the conversation about the way forward. Thank you.
And the interests that we aspire to, the vision that we've got, is us, is this movement, here in this room and in rooms like this right up and down the country. We are the only people that can do it, and that we recognise that as a political space emerging means that we can prepare. we can prepare to have a mass campaign in 2016 and beyond. This is a long-term project, a long-term process, but we can prepare the framework that says if we are able to create some type of coalition of progressive left, radical left forces, then we can actually become the official opposition to the SNP, to pull them to the left, and we can say goodbye to the Labour Party for good. That's the kind of political perspective that, if we were to carry out, would fundamentally alter not just society in Scotland, whether there's a referendum or not, but it also means that come the next referendum, we have a fighting chance of ensuring that not only is the government in favour of independence, but so is the opposition. Therefore, independence is normal right across the political spectrum. That's a strategy. And it's that type of strategy that radical independence is involved in, that the Scottish Left Project is attempting to bring together. These are the sorts of ideas that we need to discuss collectively. No one's got all the answers, but we do know one thing. It's down to us. We're the only people that can bring about real change. We should never forget it.